Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. We are back in your face. Back in your face. Back in your face, son. I am your host, Saheem the Dream, along with my co-host,
J Mac Mizzle.
J Magnificent is in the building, and we are about to get down. We got some news and rumors. It's been a little bit. We had a little setback. We had to take a week off, had some things, had to pay some bills, had to keep some lights on, had to take care of some things. But we are back. We are back, and we are back with some news and rumors. Let's get into it. Okay. We're going to start with this one right here. We have some hot topics to talk about. We have some other things, a lot of hot topics to talk about, but we'll just go through it. This one, we'll start off with this one here. Drew McIntyre responds to The Undertaker calling WWE product soft. The dead man himself has called the WWE product soft currently after retiring. Pardon me. Let me just get into the article real quick and read. As noted, The Undertaker made headlines during his recent appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience when he called the current WWE product a little soft.
You should have spelled it like Enzo.
Oh, right. WFT. So yeah, that's right. I should have. Let's see. And felt the current crop of wrestlers lack an edge to them. No surprise there. In a recent interview with Raju Diskupata, I hope I pronounced it right, of Sports Skida, WWE champion Drew McIntyre responded to The Undertaker's criticism and empathetically disagreed with the dead man's opinion. This is what Drew says. He said, "I don't agree whatsoever, especially from an in-ring perspective," McIntyre said. There's no surprise he would disagree with that. "I've listened to part of it, the podcast. I've got to listen to the whole thing. It's pretty new. But I think he may have been referring to like the kind of storylines and characters, etc. Like the co-host that was on the show was like a fan from the Attitude Era, and I think they were perhaps referring to some of the outlandish storylines." McIntyre pointed to the fact that WWE's current product is PG, which impedes the creative team from pushing the envelope. Drew says, "Back in the day, there were more sexual-based, more like risque 18 plus. Our current product is PG. There is only so far we can push it, and we're willing to push it." McIntyre admitted there is certain things from back in the day that was awesome and certain things that were not awesome that I wouldn't want to go back to. So I'm not sure if I was more from the like that perspective when it comes to the stories and not being as adult based as it used to be, but I think we're walking a good line right now. Disagree. I just disagree with that. But when it comes to the in-ring game, that's just not true at all. It's never been more physical. As reported earlier, Xavier Woods took an indirect shot at Taker via Twitter when he thanked previous generation of wrestlers for teaching him that video games is a healthier alternative to redacted. Okay, so healthier alternative than addictions or whatever. Drew McIntyre disagrees with The Undertaker. There's no surprise that Drew McIntyre would disagree with The Undertaker, of course, because he has the World Heavyweight Championship. He is pretty much the man on top of the mountain, him and Roman. I would more so say Roman is really pretty much the hot product right now, in my opinion, for his heel turn and his storyline and how the story is taking its turn. So I'm not surprised that Drew McIntyre disagreed with The Undertaker, of course, because how it reflects on him as him being champion and him actually being part of the product. But I mean, there is no denying that it is definitely toned down a whole lot. Of course, Drew McIntyre would, mention pros and cons from the Attitude Era. The funny thing about that is, because people would say, in order to be a little bit more diplomatic, to respond to a well-respected wrestler such as The Undertaker, oh, hey, the Attitude Era was a great era. There are some things that I liked and some things I didn't like from the era. So, and he throws that out there, this blanket statement. But, Attitude Era had more good than bad, truth be told. I mean, there were some things that, was like, some gimmicks they threw out there. But, I mean, not surprised.
Right. And outside of that, Drew is not only I guess, like you said, the champion. He's technically one of the faces of WWE, and outside of him, Roman, he's a baby face, so he has to be the one to respond. Because Roman responds, and it's like, whatever. So since Drew's the baby face, Drew has to keep face and be the one to be like, no, listen, that's not true. You know what you're talking about, type. So I mean, I get the reason why Drew was the one to respond, and we all know Xavier Woods is outspoken on how he feels. But I think, overall, it's more so, I mean, I think it goes back more so towards competition, to be honest with you. In my opinion, like, I feel like since there's no competition, there is nothing like, there's no reason to push the envelope or take risk or, say you try to do anything different, because it's like, okay, well, this is what it is. This is what I want to do, whether we like it or not. And the fact that many guests and we all feel the same way, like this, since there's no fans, there's no Vince doesn't have anything to go off of, based off what we react on Twitter. But when you have fans there reacting live, then you can get that reaction right then and there. So basically it's like, all right, cool. They don't like this, so let me change it up. But if you don't read Twitter or they can, and I'm sure that they go to Vince like, hey, Vince, the fans really don't like Vince. I don't care. Who cares? So I think that's the main difference behind it for me.
Yeah. No, you're right. Lack of competition, lack of fans. And then, he also mentions the PG era. So if you guys are joining us, please like, subscribe. If you're watching us on Facebook, like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. We want to know what you guys think about these topics that we go through. For news and rumors, Drew McIntyre responds to Undertaker calling WWE products soft. I'm quite sure a lot of you guys pretty much agree that it's like the WWE brand has poorly declined as far as its entertainment factor. But yeah, I totally agree wholeheartedly with what you said. It's a whole bunch of factors, but he mentions the PG era, and it's like, yeah, the PG era was actually the downfall of the integrity of the product that we were used to. Like, so we have other wrestlers to blame for that, but John Cena, whose approach to the situation was this, but he talked about walking a line, saying that we're going to push it as far as we can push it, but we want to keep it a little PG because there are a lot of children, adolescent influence that we have, so we don't want to go too far. But I think it was the fact that again, it's still an adult product at the same time, but nonetheless, Drew McIntyre, we know that you're just trying to save face and whatever. It's soft. Chanel Ramsey says major PG, laugh out loud.
Yeah, it is.
She says don't come for John Cena. I'm coming for Cena. I'm always coming for Cena. Chanel Ramsey says hashtag C Nation. Thank you, Chanel, for joining us. Chanel, on the daggone John Cena, stupid John Cena. Daggone John Cena. You know what? John Moxley on if he still speaks to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. This article was real interesting. AEW star John Moxley recently participated in a Bleacher Report Ask Me Anything session. When asked by a fan if he still keeps in touch with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, Moxley said that while he still feels a bond with his former Shield's stablemates, they've all been in their own little bubbles during the pandemic. He says his response, very occasionally, Seth is about to have a kid, so that's cool. You just get in this world and you get really busy, especially in a pandemic world. Everyone is in their little bubble. He goes on to say some other stuff. This one, I'm gonna just get to the juicy part of the article. He says Moxley was also asked if he misses being part of the Shield, one of the greatest faction in history. He says not so much miss it, but I'm on to new things and it's a new chapter, admitted Moxley. But I definitely look back on that all fondly, and it ended perfectly. That chapter ended on a nice little bow. One other thing he said in the article, he says the former WWE champion was also asked if he would return to the WWE on the right terms in the future. He says you gotta never say never, because you don't want to run back what you said years later because you don't know what'll happen, said Moxley. Just the creation of AEW was so vital to the wrestling industry, and that's part of the reason why I'm so proud to be a part of it. I wouldn't rule out ever doing business with them again. We had a mutually beneficial relationship for a long time. If they called, I would listen, but I highly doubt we would ever be on the same page. I'd be open to an idea. I don't not like money. I got a kid on the way, and I gotta put him through college. He says, I gotta put it through college. He said, I got a kid on the way, I gotta put it through college. Like he refers to the child as a thing. It's funny. I gotta put the child through college. So yeah, I would like a phone call. I would take a phone call, but I highly doubt anything would materialize. So if anybody is wondering whether John Moxley would ever return back to WWE anytime soon, the answer is no.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. We have another article, why certain stars want to stay in NXT. Yeah.
So where is it? I was just playing around with it. All right. So all right. So why certain WWE superstars prefer staying in NXT? Okay, NXT has cemented itself as a third brand of WWE with its takeover events over the past few years and its talent they have produced as well. It was used to be considered as a developmental brand, but that is no longer the case for many. While speaking to Morales Torres of Lucha Libre Online, Daniel Bryan talked about NXT as a brand. He explained the main difference between working on Raw and SmackDown post NXT. Bryan believes that each brand offers different benefits to WWE superstars, noting that those on the main roster gets more payment. Then he praised NXT for being different compared to the main roster brands. The benefits to coming to the main roster, I think, are exposure worldwide, and you get paid better for your family, your future, and all that kind of stuff. So there's positive in coming to the main roster. That's the benefit. That benefits the talent. I think one of the cool things about NXT is it's different. It's different from Raw and SmackDown. It's different from Raw. It's different from SmackDown. Bryan then explains why some talent in NXT prefer staying in the brand instead of being called to the main roster. Bryan noted WWE has made it so a superstar can have a great career in NXT and stay in the brand. Should they want to become Mr. NXT similar to Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa? The other interesting thing is that they made it so that you can have a great career and never come to the main roster. If you're Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa and you just want to stay in NXT And if you want to be Mr. NXT and that sort of thing, you can do that. Adam Cole previously, okay. So yeah, so that's why certain stars prefer to stay there. In Dan Bryan's opinion.
Yeah, Dre Rumble. Yeah, absolutely, Dre Rumble. Dre Marquise Rumble. Thank you, Dre, for joining us. Thank you, Sean Keith, for joining us. Dre says because they won't be used.
Exactly.
Look at Viking Raiders.
And the Ascension.
The Ascension was treated horrible.
Yeah, right.
Ronell Tinsley says, don't blame Ciampa for wanting to stay. Absolutely. We have Aleister Black. We have some news on Aleister Black. Hopefully it's good news coming up concerning Aleister Black. I'm very excited to talk about that. But we got some news concerning Aleister Black, some main roster news. But I think what's happening now is so we've seen Cesaro get somewhat of a push on Friday Night SmackDown, right?
Yeah, for the past couple weeks.
Right, for the past few weeks, right? Like 3 weeks in a row, he's been having like singles matches, and finally Cesaro is getting some burn, right? He fought Ziggler, he beat Ziggler, which I personally, as a Ziggler fan, is not proud of. But nonetheless, Cesaro is getting.
So, all right, so to touch base on that, now when Cesaro issues open challenge, Dolph comes out. So I think about you immediately. I'm like, yo, this is gonna be a great, great match. It's gonna be good. And then it becomes like a 3-minute match. I'm like, what the hell?
Game over.
I'm like, what the hell? That's
Game
it?
Over. Yeah.
Like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, when especially Ziggler coming out there looking like Shawn Michaels from '92. I was like, come on. I like Ziggler, let it go. I think Ziggler needs to let that go. Dre Rumble says hopefully Bianca Belair wins the Rumble. Ronald Tinsley says about time for Cesaro. Dre also says SmackDown is the show. Thank you,
show.
Ronald Tinsley, for joining us. I'm sorry. He says SmackDown is the A show. I'm bugging. He says SmackDown is the A show, not the B show, is the A show. So SmackDown definitely has been stepping up a whole lot more. But these NXT stars definitely need to be utilized. I mean, we've seen, so we had like a post that was posted up in one of the wrestling groups.
I got it.
You got it? Can you send me the image? You know what? I think you probably read my mind. The most underutilized NXT star that came to the main roster.
Yep, I just sent it to you because we had a discussion about that. I was having a discussion about that with somebody else recently.
All right, so let me pull it up. And I looked at it and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." And of course, my decision or my choice was definitely EC3. EC3 was
right
probably,
now. We can't use EC3 because he's hands down. The obvious. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, minus EC3 because we know hands down he's, like that's the number one choice for everybody. So minus EC3, who else would you say? That's how I positioned it.
Besides EC3, okay. So I could say Ascension. But I'm going to go with Samoa Joe.
I knew he was gonna go there.
I'm going to go with Samoa Joe, and I picked Samoa Joe because of his in-ring ability, his mic skills, the fact that the guy is a champion. He's a champion. Samoa Joe is undoubtedly a champion. When he had that small feud with AJ Styles, it was great. When he even his small feud with Brock Lesnar for that little 2-3 week span was great. I was so excited to see Samoa Joe fight Brock Lesnar. It was a good match. It was a good match. We know it could have been a little bit better, but it was still good for what it was. But it was just good enough to anticipate that fight between him and Brock. And that in itself, the fact that you can take such a small period and make it so exciting shows how entertaining and how great you are as a champion. Samoa Joe is probably one of the and then my second will be Shinsuke Nakamura. The fact that this guy is not fluent in speaking in English, but yet has so much charisma, says so much, and he's great in the ring. So I think they were definitely underutilized. Who do you got?
I want to say, like I said, the Ascension is definitely. Let me look at the picture. The Ascension is definitely on my list. I've had a lot of people say Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say, Ricochet. I can say Ricochet too, because they kind of sort of pushed him, and then after that he just went on a complete downward spiral.
Yeah.
But outside of them, everybody else on this list has had titles except Bo Dallas and Samoa Joe. Now, Samoa Joe injuries kind of hindered him. So so like I said, with Samoa Joe and Ricochet, they're still on the roster, so they still can, I'm saying? They still can bounce back from there. Shayna Baszler is another one. But like I said, as far as this current list right here, I think it's like a tie between Bo Dallas and the Ascension, because Bo Dallas been putting these groups and these factions that didn't pan out.
Yeah, we actually
yes, he held his belt, but it was a comedic title run.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree with you. If you guys are joining us, please share on your page so we can get some more wrestling fans in here to comment on these articles and these hot topics we're talking about. Like and comment, drop a comment below. We will post your comment. We will respond to your comment. We want to know what you guys think. This is Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. We want to talk wrestling. We want to know your thoughts. Sean Key says they should stay down. To be honest, moving up does nothing. Josue Vasquez says Bo Dallas was his pick on most underutilized NXT star. Chris Harris says, hello, everyone. Hello, Chris Harris. Thank you for joining us. And Sean Key says WWE Creative is a D at times.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but they only go based on what Vince McMahon, because I think Creative does come up with good stuff. It's just that Vince keeps turning it down. When I look at this list here, I definitely agree. I agree with you with Ricochet. Ricochet, I mean, come on. Ricochet is if they had a television title, Ricochet is one of those people who should hold that kind of title. He's like he should be holding the United States title. He should hold the Intercontinental title, and then eventually get like a world title run, maybe for 3 months, 4 months. But Ricochet is definitely one of those guys that should have been utilized a long time ago and should be utilized now. When I look at this list, but just looking at this list here, where we have Pac, also formerly known as Adrian Neville, Bobby Roode, Shayna Baszler, Ascension, American Alpha, EC3, Bo Dallas, Samoa Joe, and Ricochet. It's a very interesting list. Adrian Neville was actually used. He was used very well. They were, he was king of the cruiserweights. He had the 205 Live title. He was supposed to run a feud with Enzo, but he didn't like the fact that he had the job. He had to, lay down for Enzo and give up the title to Enzo because he felt like Enzo wasn't a good competitor or a formidable opponent, so he left. Actually, I feel like Adrian Neville kind of squandered his opportunity because they could have used Adrian, and Adrian really had all the eyes on him for 205 Live. Like, he would have been the man that would have sold that whole division, and he let that go. So he kind of messed that up. He threw that away like CM Punk. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's a great wrestler. He's great on the mic. This guy is awesome, but you know what I'm saying? But he definitely squandered that. But yeah, Shayna Baszler, Bobby Roode, definitely two very underutilized. Bobby Roode, a very underutilized person. Shayna Baszler, of course. But looking at this list, it felt like they should really use a lot more. But we know that. We know that there's squandered talent here. But yeah. We have some more comments. Sean Key says, it's Vince, and nothing will change till he dies, sadly. Josue says they should have a TV title. It would be a great belt. Well, yeah, and that's true. They definitely should. Ronald Tinsley says he did have a quick U.S. title run and then squashed. Yeah. So that U.S. title run definitely was, and I feel like when Vince like gave the belt to like Ricochet and gave those two United States title runs to Samoa Joe, it was because I felt like he acknowledged how great they were at performers, but again, he didn't want to, keep that confidence in them like he has in like, other superstars, which is a sad thing. But nonetheless, he needs to keep moving forward with his talent. Let's see. So what we have here. I think we should get to Aleister Black news after this. Backstage talk on WWE needing 4 major matches for WrestleMania 37. So WrestleMania 37 may not be as great as we would like it to be. I know we have the pandemic. I know we don't have an audience.
Oh, got news on that one for you.
You got news on third match. So go ahead.
So, as we know, Mania was supposed to be in LA this year, but they changed it to Tampa.
Okay.
Tickets are going to go on sale soon because they're looking to have about at least 25,000 fans for Mania, and they're trying to exceed this the attendance for the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is looking to have 22,000 fans, so Mania is looking at having 25,000 within for both nights. Okay,
that's good news. That's actually really good news. An article posted, it says, wow, there are reportedly no top matches locked in for WrestleMania 37. No top matches. This is what WrestleMania is all about, right? It's a magnificent feud that, tops off the match, and these magnificent feuds that all come together for this one big explosion. And Vince's voice, explosion, and this whole big explosion. you know how excited Vince be getting. He's going crazy. All right, so they don't have a top match. Word now is the WWE creative team started working on bigger ideas once officials made the decision to hold the event over 2 nights. So hopefully it's nothing gimmicky, but we who knows, right? The belief now is that the company needs 4 major matches for WrestleMania 37, 2 for each night, according to a new report from Wrestling Votes. This likely requires outside assistance from top names such as WWE Hall of Famer Bill Goldberg and John Cena. Okay, I think I might not read any more of this article. I think I may stop here. You just mentioned Goldberg and John Cena in the same sentence as being utilized wrestlers for top matches.
So I got something else for you on top of it. I was reading something like that too. So Cena's pretty much confirmed for Mania. Well, and that's Goldberg's 2 matches a year. Mania.
It's gonna be this is horrible. Okay, let me just read this small piece, and I'll try to hold in my frustration. It was also said that The Rock is unlikely to work WrestleMania this year. As we noted, WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns has been floating the idea of possibly facing The Rock at WrestleMania 39 from Hollywood in 2023. All right, let me just stop there. I'm going to stop because there's nothing really great too great about this article. They just go into a whole bunch of stuff and blah 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 blah. But they mentioned Brock Lesnar. Once you said John Cena and Goldberg, like immediately my brain just started hurting. I felt like it was going to like explode outside my skull and leak out the side of my ears. Listen, man. Listen. It's crazy because it's like, see, this is the problem when you don't build what you have. This is the problem when you don't build what you have. And when you're not utilizing top talent and you're not utilizing those who have excellent potential to be great sellers on the mic and great sellers in like Kevin Owens, like, I mean, like people like Kevin Owens who sells well. If a person like Samoa Joe was utilized properly, we wouldn't have problems like this. If again, like Ricochet, can you imagine Ricochet having a main event match at WrestleMania? How many highlights you would get from that match? Ricochet versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. You know how many highlights you would get from that match in itself? Like, but again, it's just almost like Vince is so blind by like what he has in front of it. It's ridiculous. Let me go to the comment section below. I need to hear from you guys, see what you guys think. Andrea Joe, thank you, Andre. Thank you, Dre, for joining us. He says Super Cena one more time. Yes, one more time for Super Cena. Josue says there is no one for Cena to feud with. There is no one for Cena to feud with. You know what, Josue? There is one person to feud with John Cena. And you know that person is? That person is Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre by far is Vince McMahon's top guy. And he's the guy who's going to sell the brand, and he's the guy that doesn't think the brand is soft. And he thinks the brand is at or in a good place. But there's no one for Cena to feud with because Cena is on a Hogan, Austin, Rock level. But and, to be honest, I don't want to see John Cena feud with anybody. I don't want to see John Cena at all. I want to see him go away. I just want John Cena to leave and stay away. I had enough of his, just mundane, stale, character that just comes and pops up and just constantly, rides off the laurels of the fact that he used to be the doctor of thugonomics, and he rides off of this hope and expectation of us wanting him to go back to a character that we beloved, but he does not go back to. So what's the point of him even coming back? He doesn't add anything other than just his past glories of what he used to give us. That's all Cena is. Cena is a shadow of his old self who comes back and lives off of that and lives off our old memories to give us nothing new when he could, but he doesn't. Sad. Andrea Joe says Cena versus Big E. Big E wins. I don't want to see Cena at all. But it's great. It's just like whatever. It's good. Ronald Tinsley says I was with you when you said those names are being used. Sell this pay-per-view of all pay-per-views. See, and that's the thing. It's just like the talent is there. The talent is always there. The talent has always been there. Ricochet is a Jay. Let me hear from you. I can go on for days, but Jay, what you got to say, man? I can keep going, but
at the end of the day, we know how Vince is. Vince goes off of nostalgia and big names. So I think he feels like if I have some big names there, people are gonna buy in. To be honest with you, if Bret Hart was still in wrestling condition, he probably tried to talk Bret into be like, "Hey, Bret, I need you." You know what I'm saying? So instead of him trying to, build, take a whole year to build, your up and coming stars, so that by the time Mania comes around, they're believable. They're like, okay, well, this guy actually have a chance. That's gonna be a good match. I want to see that. He stays with the same people. So now if those people get hurt or whatever the case is, now you got to try to scramble. Now you're trying to find big legendary names to try to sell this event. Like you said, we got Ricochet, Aleister Black. It's a ton of names you can use, a ton of guys on the roster you can use, but you're still trying to go back. Because honestly, nobody really wants to see Cena, to be real with you. And even Goldberg to a certain extent. So it's like, now, like I said, I mean, if you try to talk Shawn into coming back, people may think about it, but if you book a Shawn versus AJ Styles or Shawn versus, Daniel Bryan, people be like, okay, that might be a decent match for Mania. You want to bring back a big name? That's the match I always wanted to see. Cool, but there's nobody that we always want to see Goldberg fight. There's nobody we've always wanted to see Cena fight. So that's why if you're gonna bring big names, bring big names that matter, not just because they're indebted to you and they'll say yes. So like I said, because honestly, to be real with you, nobody really wants to see Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre, but we're forced to watch it because that's what Vince. So
you say we're forced to watch it.
Yeah, Vince thinks that's what we want to see. So hey, whatever. So it's just weird. Like I said, the fact that there's no fans to tell Vince this, he does with that whatever the hell he wants to do, like the Pied Piper right now.
Exactly. This is the thing. I was very excited when Triple H came back and he fought that match with Randy Orton. I felt like it was much needed. I needed somebody to pick me up. I feel like, again, it's just like, this is what happens when you do not build your stars right. This is what happens. Like, we just got finished going through the article about NXT talent coming up to the main roster, and everybody voiced that they will not be utilized properly. And because they have not been utilized and on the main roster how they have been in NXT, we have this problem. WWE has this problem that these WrestleManias will not live up to the previous ones because your superstars who you have put all this great build into, when they come to the place to where they're supposed to be pushed up a lot higher and better, they get suffocated under your bureaucratic BS. Like, what are you doing? We're going to go Ethan Wick. Thank you, Ethan Wick, for joining us. He says it's like they don't try to come up with something new. Exactly. Josue says an Aleister Black versus Ricochet would be a good match at WrestleMania. Absolutely. I would love to see something like that. Like that's great TV right there. But we are not going to get that. You know why? Because Vince is old. That's why. But it seems like Vince is listening a little bit. Listening to us a little bit more. Seems like he's being a little bit more responsive. We're seeing some changes. We are seeing changes, but I think this moment is a moment for Vince to now look at it like, yo, I need to build more stars. Because if you're not building anybody, let me just take it back to Kofi Kingston winning the title at WrestleMania. That moment said so many things. But one of those things that moment said was, what took so long? You just made, even though Kofi was already a star with the New Day, but he was, again, not being pushed in that caliber. But when he finally got the push, it was like everybody was on board. It was like, yes, we need something new. This is somebody who's beloved, someone who deserves it. Yes, we have a fresh new WrestleMania. That WrestleMania will always go down as one of my top WrestleManias. I put that up there with the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania, with the Hogan versus, again, my picks. But again, that's one of my favorite WrestleManias. But it was that moment in itself that showed how much we needed something new. Jose Vasquez says, we'll get it on the pre-show.
Right, exactly.
We will.
You'll feel it's not good enough for the main show, but then you'll have somebody like the Iconics versus the Riot on the main show. Like, really?
Who wants to see that? And then it's like, the thing is like, we have Goldberg, it's just like Goldberg, again, like I said, I'm a Goldberg fan. I love Goldberg. Goldberg is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's probably in my top 10. But in this moment, it's like the way they're utilizing him so wrong. They're using him wrong. And I'm going to be honest with you. This match against Goldberg would have mattered if he had not beat The Fiend. If he hadn't beat The Fiend, him fighting Drew McIntyre, him showing up to fight Drew McIntyre, I would have been like, yes, I want to see this match. Or him fighting Roman, I'd be like, all right, cool. But it's poor timing. It's just like, oh, we're just going to throw him in there for star power. I'm gonna take up these two comments and we're gonna go to another hot article we have. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, Jay. What you have for us. Anthony Cobb says you had to mention Hogan for one of your top Mania moments, huh?
Yes, we know how much Sai is a huge fan of Hogan.
All right. I'll stop with the Hogan love. Anthony Cobb says, I'm telling you, one of those 4 matches are going to be a AJ Styles versus HBK. Well, I hope so. I mean, at least we'll get like a dream match. Ronald Tinsley says, going back to Drew, after the amazing year he just had, why are they trying to make their champion an underdog? That's a good question. Why are they trying to make their champion an underdog? And I think the reason why, my opinion, my take, but you can share some more, Ronald, if you want to, like what you feel more about it, and we'll read it. I think that they're doing it because they're trying to build some kind of star power with this whole feud with Drew and Goldberg, and they're trying to make Drew like the main guy. So I really feel like they're really trying to put all the cards on Drew and Roman at this point. So those are their 2 top guys. So, and I think that's why they're doing that. But we all know that that Drew McIntyre is going to go over on Goldberg. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is an unpopular opinion. Don't get mad at me if I say this is how I feel personally. But if Goldberg beats Drew McIntyre, I'm quite sure there'll be a lot of upset fans. I would be kind of happy because Drew McIntyre doesn't have the belt anymore and he goes back to rebooting his character. I like Drew McIntyre as a champion. I just think Drew McIntyre needs more. It feels like but anyway, that's just my feeling of Drew McIntyre. But we know that more than likely Drew McIntyre is going to go over on Goldberg, but this is what they're trying to use him for. Andre Joe says Goldberg with no fans sucks.
Now, okay.
I'm sorry. Josue says Drew always been Vince's top guy.
Now, I agree with you. Like, if Goldberg wins, I would be perfectly fine with that. But the problem is, I compare Drew McIntyre without the belt to Adam Cole. As I said before, when Adam Cole lost the belt, there's nothing for really Adam Cole to do. Like, he's kind of lost in the shuffle, like, you know what I'm saying? And as far as Drew, like, when Drew lost the belt to Randy, you see, instead of him joining the Survivor Series team, he was still obsessed, like, I'm going to get my title back. Bro, it's over. Do something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have something else to do with your life. Like, why are you so obsessed with this belt? And I feel like without Drew having the belt, it's like they had nothing else for him to do, and it's sad. But that's just the reality of it. But at the same time, like, as far as anything else, like, I mean, I would like Goldberg to win the belt. You know what I'm saying? Because like I mean, as we always said, Drew's become stale. He's become sort of boring. So we just something fresh now. Is Goldberg going to be on Raw every week? Absolutely not. But he can have a nice build towards Mania, and whatever like that. But like I said, if Drew win, I would. I mean, if Goldberg wins, I'm not going to be upset. And to go back to Anthony Cobb's AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels, if that match happens, Shawn has to have a wig on and he has to have a bandana or something to keep it on because he better not fight. If he does, I'm not going to watch it.
If Shawn Michaels comes back and fights at WrestleMania with the blonde wig, I'm watching it. I got to see that. I got to see Shawn Michaels come out.
He's with the Dolph Ziggler hair.
The Dolph Ziggler hair, big old head. Oh man, that'll be hilarious! I gotta see that.
Here, brother, 2 months, and WWE has the miracle grow because we've seen Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles go ahead and short of time. So, Shawn, you can do it.
Yeah. You know what? Some wrestlers look good on paper. That's not what I meant to say. Some champions look good on paper, but then there's the rare champions that look good in history. Again. Drew McIntyre, John Cena, 16-time world champion. On paper, oh, this guy was amazing. This guy must have been amazing. Through history, through what's remembered, through what's, what we recollect. This guy brought down an era. He declined in era. You know what I'm saying? So Bret Hart had 5 WWE title reigns, but one of the best champions we ever had. You know, same thing. Well, Shawn had what, 3 or 4, something like that. So, I mean, come on, like, you know, some guys, you know, on paper, they look amazing. They look like the greatest guys that ever wrestled. And this is the era of paper champions. You know, we have a lot of paper champions. We have some goods and some bad. Like, again, like you said with Drew, it's like without the title, it's like, what are they going to do with him? It almost feels like, okay, we don't have, like, you know, we like him so much that we don't want to put him to the back of the line and have him in the shuffle of wrestling with other guys. But, you know, it's like we got to have the belt on him because, you know, it's just like we really like him. And it's just like it's a weird combination. But at the same time, I don't want to see Drew because you know what's going to happen with Drew? Drew's going to turn to another Cena. He is. I don't care how well he cuts his promos or how well he Claymore kicks somebody, whatever. Drew's going to turn to another Cena. And he's going to get really stale really quickly, and he's getting stale now. I'm not excited. But again, he's not one of those wrestlers that looks good through history. He's a wrestler that looks good on paper right now. He started out well, but again, Anthony Cobbs, if Goldberg beats Drew, we're going to riot the headquarters like the Trump supporters did in the Capitol.
I can't.
Listen, but I want to say this last thing. I want to see Triple H come back. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want Triple H to come back. I want the game to come back. All right, we got to get to this article because I'm excited. I want to know. I really want to know what you have for us, Jay. I want to know what you got. We got some great news. WWE big plans for Aleister Black's return. Jay, Mac, Maine, what do you have for us today, please?
All right, so WWE pulled Aleister Black from television without any reason behind it. He has been absent for quite some time, and his name hasn't been spoken up or majority of that either. Now it appears that there is a plan. According to PW Insider Elite Audio, WWE pulled Aleister Black from television with the intention of bringing him back. This return was supposedly be a big deal, but fans are still waiting for that return. I was told he was previously pulled from television so that he can come back to have a big dramatic debut on SmackDown, and that just hasn't happened yet. We have to wait and see what happens with this situation. Ringside News exclusive reported in December that his name has not come up in creative meetings at all. He has a ton of potential, but Vince McMahon doesn't see it in his character. Paul Heyman was very much behind Aleister Black, but his removal from executive director from position on Raw squashed that momentum in a lot of ways. So that seems about it. So they're planning to have some big returns for him on SmackDown. I guess we just have to wait and see what that is or what capacity they have to bring him back in.
Okay, so there may be some sort of salvation. For Aleister Black. Ronald Tinsley says correct. He's going to need to add more to his arsenal, Drew. There may be some salvation for Aleister Black, right? And I say this. There may be some salvation because Apollo Crews, as we've seen, had the United States title, ran a feud with MVP, which is pretty good. He had the belt for a short period of time, gets the belt taken off of him. Why? Don't know. And we see that Apollo Crews is now feuding with Big E. As mentioned on commentary, they're friends. So you guys know how the business works. People who tend to be very close backstage tend to choose who they want to rival with so that person can get more screen time, more building their character, more pushing their character. This is the reason why I like the Big E and Apollo Crews feud is because they're friends. So more than likely, you guys know that the reason why Samoa Joe had that match with AJ Styles, that heavyweight title match, was because AJ Styles and Samoa Joe are friends and they used to work formerly in TNA together. that's why they were able to have that match, because he goes to Vince and he tells Vince, hey, I want to run a program with Samoa Joe. So depending upon who Alistair is cool with. Now, if Alistair is, now we know that Alistair is a Paul Heyman guy, right? And Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, right? This can go very well for Alistair Black. Alistair Black, we may be able to see more of him. He may actually get the potential push that he deserves. So this can actually mean a whole lot more for Alistair Black. It could be. But I was definitely hoping something like a Royal Rumble win, a title push, a main event push. But, you can only ask for so much more, in this time. Anthony Cobb says, Alistair Black does not need to return to SmackDown. Philip Nubia Jr., thank you, Shaqy, for joining us, I should say. I just wanted to thank WWE for Paulus and MVP. They are the perfect mouthpiece for their muscle faction or talent. Anthony Cobb says, bring him to Raw, align him with The Fiend. I like that idea better. Great idea. That's a great idea, Anthony. Anthony Cobb says, wait, hold on a second. Skip one. Yep. Ronald Tinsley says, considering there's a full article, we can only hope this is a great push for Alistair. Anthony Cobb says, the only thing I can see them doing with him on SmackDown is him having a feud with Seth Rollins right now.
Well, I mean, I can see him, feuding with Shinsuke. I can see him feuding with Roman if they turn him babyface. If he's heel, Cesaro, Shinsuke, Daniel Bryan will be a decent feud. He could turn on Mysterios for, him basically turning dark. Even I really don't want to see him feud with the Mysterios, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think there's more talent on Raw he would actually be able to work with, but there's some guys on SmackDown he could be cool with. Now, it would be dope if he's the real leader of Retribution and, give him some kind of, star power. That would be dope.
That would be great. Jason Furler says that was a great idea, as referring to The Fiend aligning with Alistair Black. Shaqy says Black was booked completely wrong. He could go back to NXT. There is nothing wrong with that.
He actually won.
Honestly, I really do not want to. You know what? I do. I'm fine with, my thing is Finn Balor went back to NXT. He became NXT World Champion. If he did not become World Champion and he stayed on that roster and not had gotten any championship, I would have been completely pissed off.
So now let me ask you a question. If Karrion Kross didn't get hurt, do you think Finn Balor would be champion right
now? Maybe not. No.
So Finn could possibly be a victim of circumstances.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. That's very true. That's an excellent question. He's definitely a victim of circumstance. And, he definitely, definitely, got a lot from that moment. But I think eventually they probably would have tried to put some gold on on Finn. But Finn was doing so well. Finn was, ever since Finn got back to NXT, we got to see the greatness of Finn's character. Great in-ring ability, awesome on a mic. He's been cutting these great promos. This guy really just, it's just like, why is he not in the main? Why is he not on the main roster, being put in the main event picture? Anthony Cobb says he asked to go back to NXT. Phil, they denied him.
Which is true.
Right. So Phil, Shaqy, they denied Alistair Black to go back to NXT. If Alistair Black was the head of Retribution, first of all, if Alistair Black goes there, we gotta take Retribution look like a bunch of created characters. When you play SmackDown, or you guys had WrestleMania 2000 for the Nintendo 64 or No Mercy, or you had, SmackDown or SmackDown, Raw versus SmackDown, and like you create your characters, and everybody, like, some of us had little brothers or whatever, or friends of little brothers, and the little brother always made these characters that wore all these like outrageous stuff. Like he would have, like padded knee pads and shin pads, and then he'll have like the Hardy Boys freaking arm sleeve, and with a mask, and have like a whole bunch of tattoos. He looked weird, and he wear a mask, like a lucha mask. Like, why is he wearing a lucha mask? He looked weird. That's exactly what Retribution looked like. They look like your little brother's created characters. It's horrible. Every time I see them, it's ridiculous. But they need to really give them like a facelift. Anthony Cobb says it doesn't bother anybody that Finn never got a rematch for his WWE Universal title that he never lost.
No, they gave him a rematch that he ended up, there was no chance he could win, because his quote unquote rematch was when he fought Brock at the Royal Rumble, and Brock, we knew he wasn't going to beat Brock, so that was his rematch. Now he didn't get a legit rematch like he should have, but that was his quote unquote rematch, so he can never use that. I never got a rematch, saying.
Yes, absolutely. But this is great right here. I like this. I love this. Shaq posts a comment. So Finn Balor cut like this great promo. He cut like this great promo. I think it was like this week or last week. I'm not sure which week it was. He says, they don't manufacture the cloth that I'm cut from anymore.
Yeah.
This is what Finn is saying. Like, it's just like the promos this guy is cutting is crazy. It's like Ronald, he says, it would blow the story of Mustafa's revenge on Kofi if they do that. Okay, like right now, with as far as Mustafa and Kofi's storyline, that's like what 2 years old now, like a year old now. Like, no, but at this point, I kind of don't care. They haven't really even visited anymore. Like, they didn't say anything about it. Like, it's like almost like when he came back as a leader of Retribution, he kind of really didn't mention it. He mentioned it loosely, and then kind of went on this tangent about we're underutilized and blah 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 blah. We're created characters and blah 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 blah. We're not that good in the ring. And anyway, he goes on this rant, says whatever, and then it's just like it doesn't go anywhere. Like, the story didn't go anywhere too much, so it's like they're not really building too much on it anyway. They're kind of really blowing Retribution right now. Like, Retribution is just, they're a bunch of jobbers right now. They're not really doing anything with this story when they could have done something really great with it. Anthony Cobb, I feel like they have Finn, the NXT champion, as an apology for not giving him his Universal title rematch. I definitely agree with you, Anthony, but I agree with you, but I think that it's Triple H doing that, because even after Finn broke his jaw, they still allowed him to keep the title. And I feel like this is Triple H saying, yo, you deserve your due. We're gonna make sure you get your, before you leave. He's like almost like Triple H and William Regal's like, listen, on the main roster, you didn't get it, but at least when you leave here, you're gonna get your due. This is your home. You know what I'm saying? Even how they even spoke about him when he fought Adam Cole for the title. They was like, they called him the guy that helped, that they call him the guy that really built the brand, that helped establish the brand of NXT. Like, they mentioned Seth Rollins, they mentioned there was somebody else, Seth Rollins. Was it Kevin? I think they mentioned Kevin, but they said Finn was the guy that put NXT on the map. That's what they looked at. But it's like, yo, you ain't get it when you was on the main roster, but at least when you leave here, you will be a legend. You'll be more than a legend. You know what I mean? 2-time.
And to go back to Rynell's statement about his revenge on Kofi, I don't think it'll blow the storyline, because you can look at it as, all right, boom, Mustafa Ali's the leader, but Alistair comes in, was like, yo, listen, you're supposed to take care of your business. You ain't do it. I need you to, go take, like, it's more of an impact. Each leader has that second wingman, but that tries to be the leader or wants to be the leader, but they just don't have enough. So it could be, Mustafa Ali is the he wants to be the leader, but he doesn't. So Alice has to come and lie. Listen, I had enough. You squander your ability. So I need you. This is what we're gonna do. You're gonna go out. I'm gonna take the reins. And I'm gonna show. I'm gonna lead by example. So now you're gonna go after Kofi because he's the one that's that. So it's like he puts the battery in Retribution back to be more dominant instead of this circus act that we see.
Circus act indeed. Big Baby joins us. He says, "What's good, brother? What's good, Big Baby?" Anthony Cobb says, "I think Sami Zayn put NXT on the map." Anthony Cobb, yeah, his whatchamacallit, his feud with Kevin Owens was great. Anthony Cobb says, "I started watching NXT because of Sami Kevin Owens feud. That was definitely a dope feud." Andre Joe, The Rock took over the nation. Yeah, he did. Even exploring that, but with Alice, like I definitely agree that would work. But I just want to see them take those stupid masks off, give them a look that's very, because Mustafa Ali is the only one who has like the best ring attire. They need to kind of pattern their attire a little bit after Mustafa Ali's.
Right.
To have them put the mask off. I wouldn't say get rid of them, because they're good in-ring performers. It's just the way they look just takes away from their in-ring appeal. And I would definitely say I would definitely put Ricochet in that group. I would definitely put Ricochet in there with Aleister Black, Mustafa Ali. Now, and again, and I want to say this because this needs to be said, Mustafa Ali is a great in-ring performer. Mustafa Ali is great on the mic. I always thought Mustafa Ali had potential when he was cutting the promos before he came back. Mustafa Ali is great on the mic. It's just how it's set is how he's being utilized and how they're being, marketed to us. We're gonna go to the next article real quick. Anthony Cobb says, "Come on, Retribution have good ring attire compared to half of the AEW roster." I don't know, and I don't know if I can agree or disagree, but either way, the ring attire sucks, in my opinion. So to me, it's sort of like, damn if you do, damn if damn if you like, damn if you don't like, It's like either way, Anthony Cobb says, if you created a wrestler in a video game, they would come out looking like Retribution. Exactly. This is exactly what they look like. Let's go to some more articles. All right, let's go to another hot one. Let's go to another hot one. Adam Cole on if he would leave NXT for the main roster. This is another question that needs to be answered. Fans want to know. Jay, Magnificent, what you got?
So I read this one. I hope you're ready for this one. All right, I'll just get to it. Adam Cole is one of the top superstars in history of NXT. He has won both the NXT Championship and the NXT North American Championship. His 403 reign as NXT champion is also the longest reign in the brand. Cole is also the leader of the Undisputed Era, arguably the best faction in NXT. Cole recently took to Twitter where he said the Undisputed Era have been running NXT since they arrived, adding 2021 will be no different. Hashtag Undisputed Era has run at NXT since we've arrived. 2021 will be no different. Enjoy the ride, boys and girls. This is what Adam Cole said. So a fan replied to Cole stating that he could advance to he could advance to the main roster this year.
Okay.
So Adam Cole decided to reply to the fan where he said NXT is the main roster and there's no debate regarding that fact. So he said at WWE NXT is the main roster, no debate, end of story. Adam Cole has been involved in several outstanding matches and memorable moments during his time at NXT. It seems there's no intention of being called up to the main WWE roster, and he's content working in NXT. So, in Adam Cole's opinion, NXT is the main roster.
Adam Cole just took a big on all my hopes and dreams. Hey man, hey, but listen. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I don't. I really don't. Um, but maybe again, I'm thinking, and as I think about it, I think I'm kind of changing my perspective a little bit. Maybe this is the opportunity to make NXT as big as WWE. Maybe this is what this is. We got Finn Balor, we got Undisputed Era, you know, um, we got Johnny Gargano, we got Amber Moon, we got Rhea Ripley, who's supposed to be getting called up, um, you know, uh, and then we got all these other, people coming in NXT. But maybe this is the moment. But again, I always go back to saying this: what would your career be if you weren't trying to be WWE champion? What's the point? Like, if you're not trying to be the WWE champion, why? Why not? Um, Anthony Cobb says he can't leave the Undisputed Era behind, though the whole Undisputed Era goes to SmackDown, wins all the belts, and give me a Undisputed Era versus Hurt Business in a War Games match. Wow. Wow. That'll be dope. That'll be dope. That I'm gonna tell you, Anthony Cobbs, that's what dreams are made of. I mean, I'm telling you, stuff like that, you know. But again, it's like stuff like that, it's like this is what we want. Like we want to see stuff like that. Like we want to see stuff like that. That would be dope if Undisputed Era came to SmackDown and they won all the belts and ran a feud with Hurt Business would be dope. See, my thing is thinking about Hurt Business too. I really think that now is the time. Like, if they really wanted to build a real competitor for Drew McIntyre, they really should have a United States versus World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania and have Bobby Lashley fight Drew McIntyre. Like, I don't want to see Goldberg fighting Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. It'll be dope if they have Bobby Lashley fight Drew McIntyre. Make somebody new. Put somebody up there. Push somebody new. Give us something fresh. But I would definitely like to see that Undisputed Era versus Hurt Business. That'd be dope. What else we got? Okay. We're well into an hour. We have a few more articles. So I don't know if you guys care too much about this. Chad Gable says Jason Jordan is training for in-ring return.
I read about that too.
Yeah, so Jason Jordan is making in-ring return. I don't know if you guys are really too big on Jason Jordan returning. I would like to see what they make of him. They were able to make this great turnaround with Roman Reigns. Speaking of Roman Reigns, we're going to get into an article real quick with Roman. Anthony Cobb says, for some reason, I feel like it's going to be a Triple H versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Listen, and I was like, the whole time we're talking, I was sitting there saying in my head, like, I want to say that I want to see Triple H fight Drew McIntyre or fight Roman. I want to see that, but I want to see Triple H win the belt. If Triple H don't win the belt, if I see, but I definitely would like to see Triple H in the ring again, and I want to see Triple H win. I'm going for Triple H. I want to see the game win. But I would rather have Triple H beat him. I'm fine with Randy. I feel like they should have never took the belt off Randy. But it is what it is. I feel like they're going to have a feud about Drew disrespecting the legends, and Triple H is going to step up. That'll be dope. I hated Jason Jordan.
I was never a big fan, and I definitely hated when they made Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins tag champs. I was like, what the hell is this?
You think that caused the decline of Seth Rollins' character?
Possibly, because it kind of, he had, he was tired from pulling the weight of that horrible tag team.
Okay, so how about this? All right, so because Seth Rollins is supposed to be returning.
Yep.
Seth Rollins versus What if Seth Rollins fought Roman Reigns at WrestleMania?
That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty dope. I ain't gonna front. Can't even lie. If Seth Rollins came back, won the Royal Rumble.
But then Seth would have to drop the whole Messiah gimmick because Messiah, because then we'll have two heels fighting at Mania.
Listen, I don't care. I mean, he wouldn't have to. Would he really have to?
Well, yeah, but because Vince wants good guy versus bad guy.
Yeah.
So
okay, all right. So check this out. So because at WrestleMania, because we had Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan. Okay, so what about we had Warrior versus Hogan. We had Austin versus The Rock. Okay, what about shoot, I keep repeating myself. Goldberg versus Drew. Who's the bad guy in that match?
Well, it's different. It's different when you have two baby faces fighting each other at Mania. You know what I'm saying? But when you have two heels, that's a little different. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have two baby faces, I mean, even though with two heels, the fans are gonna pick somebody to go for. But when you have two baby faces, it's like, all right, cool, granted, like Hogan and Warrior, like the fans would split down the middle. So at the end of the day, somebody, somebody's going to be happy, or, regardless of the fact, baby face is going to win. But when you have two heels, it kind of like changes the dynamic, because, Seth is going to go with the great, I need to be champion for the greater good of the company or the brand, and, Roman with the head of the table. And, you would need more of a dynamic, like, because you can't have Roman and Jey Uso jumping Seth, and he's a heel. You know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
As far as build wise, I should say.
I got you. Anthony Cobb goes in about Jason Jordan real quick. He says, don't get me wrong, Jason Jordan was a great tag team wrestler, but they threw him right in the mix without a build-up. They did. They really was trying to like slap star power on him like mayonnaise. Anthony Cobb says, I don't think he is going back with that gimmick. So again, if you guys are joining us, please share, share it so all your wrestling buddies can see what's going on, so they can come in, comment, talk wrestling, especially these hot topics we have right now. Anthony Cobb says, I think Mr. Burn It Down is coming back for the Royal Rumble. Yeah, it makes sense. Anthony Cobb says, I think we need different in all of the two heels. I think we need different for all in the two heels. We do. But I mean, I'm cool. I mean, I think two heels fighting wouldn't be such a bad thing.
It wouldn't. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be okay with it. I have no problem with that. But what I'm saying is, as far as the showcase of the Immortals, Vince doesn't, Vince more so wants the traditional good guy versus bad guy, at Mania. So, right.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why we technically didn't have Jericho versus Kevin Owens. Well, we know Goldberg kind of stopped that too, but either Jericho or Kevin Owens would have to have been face,
Right. But more than likely in that match, it would have been Jericho that would have been face.
Absolutely.
Which everybody would have loved. Like, who wouldn't have loved that? Anthony Cobb says ECW used to do that all the time. Interesting. So ECW didn't have a problem with like having heel versus heel. Or whatever.
I gotta look back on my history of it, but I don't know if they had like a big major pay-per-view that they did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Paul Heyman is the type of person, like, he don't mind kind of breaking the rules a little bit. He's all of them.
Which is success.
Absolutely. So I think this one is a funny article, but I think it brings up a great question. WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze, also known as Medusa in WCW, asked WWE for a retirement match. It is 2021. The last time we seen you wrestle, was 96 or 97. Medusa. How many years is that?
Too many.
Yeah, that's like 24 years ago, something like that. It's like, are you serious? 24 to 23 years ago was the last time we seen you wrestle. And you asked for a retirement match. We're going to move on to the next article. All right, no, I'm not going to do that. But
Yeah,
all right, but
she had a retirement match in '96. How about that?
yeah, right. You had a retirement match in WCW. When you threw that belt in the trash, that's when you retired. Nah, he's not playing. He's not playing. But that was funny though. But she did it. That was a legendary moment. I can't even lie. She she threw the belt in the trash. But it was funny because Scott Hall threw the TV title in the trash. He did that. He was in WCW, and he threw a WCW belt in the trash. Like, how disrespectful is that? Like, I mean, you was in, if you were a former WWE competitor in WCW and you had a WWE belt you threw it in the trash, made sense because crapping on your competitor. But you're in the company and you have one of their major titles and you throw it in the trash. Like, he wins the title that night. I guess, I think Disco Inferno. He was already United States champion, and him and Nash, they're playing basketball with the title, and Nash has the trash can. He was like, "Oh, you can't guard me!" And he just takes the title and throws it in the trash. So,
well, they all done it. Even Daniel Bryan, he threw the heavyweight championship in the trash for his Eco belt. So it's become an iconic stable at this point.
He did, but he threw. He did throw the WWE title in the trash, but he pulled out another WWE title,
right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like they just said, out with the old, in with the new. Like, you feel that, but when you just throw a title in the trash and you don't show nothing else, and you just like, no, just throw this in the trash. That's it. But he did actually throw the WWE title in the trash. Anthony Cobb says, why would she do that? I don't know, and I think she just wants a retirement match. She wants to be appreciated. I think so. The reason why I kind of brought up the article is because I thought about WWE wrestlers or former wrestlers who never really got like a formal goodbye. So I just brought that article up because do you guys think that any formal WWE performance should get a goodbye, like a goodbye match? I mean, Medusa was like the head of the women's division for a very long time. So I don't know. I mean, do you guys think so? Anthony Cobbs, I wouldn't even call that wrestling. She was in WCW. Who didn't even I wouldn't even call that wrestling. She was in WCW. Who didn't even have women wrestlers at the time. That is true. That is very true. They had no women's wrestlers. So it kind of did make sense why she kind of threw the belt in the trash, because it was, what's she going to do over there? She's going to be a Nitro girl. I mean, shoot, she's in wrestling. Shoot. Anthony Cobbs, what's next? Sable is going to ask for a retirement bikini match. The guys come to see me and the girls want to be me. Who's ready for the grind? Hit you with the grind. I
don't know if I want to see that. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I think she's been taking care of herself.
50-year-old stable.
Yeah, how old is she? Like 50?
She got to be around 50.
Gotta be 50-year-old stable hitting you with that grind.
She's kind of old, when she was there.
I mean, yeah, she was. She was. I mean, but I'm saying, if she still look good for 50, she come back and hit you with that grind. Anthony, she gonna come back and hit you with that grind real quick. 50-year-old stable hitting you with that MILF grind. All right, let's go to the next article. Let me stop.
53.
Anthony says I'll pass. Jose Vasquez says Brock wouldn't even have that right. He be coming out flexing everybody. He's like, get back and put some clothes on. Get in the back and put some clothes on. Nobody wants to see your 50. Anyway. All right, so this is the last article because we've been on this for a minute. Okay, so let's go with this one. I think this one was hilarious. Because I thought about going with the other one, other articles, but let me just mention them real quick. See if you guys want to respond. But I think they kind of just speak for himself. Mustafa Ali says WWE doesn't give a crap about talent. I think that's a no-brainer. But Mustafa Ali is voicing his frustration, so it's quite apparent that he sees that there's a lack of development. We all see that there's a lack of development in a lot of the talent and a lack of utilization in a lot of the talent. So I think it speaks for itself. But that's what we kind of really been voicing most of the time. Why Jessamyn Dukes is missing from the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Jay, you want to shine a little light on that real quick?
All right. So real quick, I guess I'll go through this real quick. So as we all know, Jessamyn Dukes is part of the Four Horsewomen. For those who follow, so she's normally teamed with Marina Shafir. So as we've seen the bracket, she's not part of that group, and here's the reason why she's not part of it. So WWE revealed the brackets for the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic tournament. Some fans thought it was very interesting that Marina Shafir was not teamed with her usual partner, Jessamyn Dukes. Jessamyn Dukes has not appeared for WWE since on Raw Underground. Fightful Select reports that Duke is not injured, but she's focused on creating a different form of content. She's now working with Up, Down, Down with Dakota Kai. Up, Down, Down. Jessamyn Dukes, Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, and Shayna Baszler are giving titles of co-commissioner on Up, Down, Down. Dukes was a full-time game streamer prior to coming to WWE. To her added obligations to Up, Down, Down, Jessamyn Dukes won't be taking part in the 2021 Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. So she turned down the Dusty Rhodes Classic because of Up, Down, Down.
Well, Up, Down, Down must be paying a lot of money. It must be very. I don't think that's going to be beneficial for her wrestling career, but it's going to be help. I think she's messing with Xavier.
If who knows? Knowing Xavier.
Come on, man. Come on. Women give up things for guys, man. Women change their careers for men. So, that's a big leap. Okay, I'm going to focus on, video game streaming, which is getting kind of big, which is getting really big right now. And I'm going to focus on video game streaming, the show, and pass up on my wrestling career.
But outside of that, I'm sure that Xavier Woods, who's currently in WWE himself, would understand, like, hey, I'm going to be in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, so I can't do this. And I'm sure that Xavier would understand. Outside of he has other people, Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, and Shayna Baszler, who could hold down the fort. Even though Jessamyn Dukes isn't a great fighter. To be honest with you, but teach his own.
Yeah. We got some comments real quick, and Anthony says. He says, "We seen this before with CM Punk, if you remember." Yeah. Yep, CM Punk and AJ Lee. Oh, that was their names. I never knew them kickboxing looking ladies' names. And can they even wrestle? I never seen them go.
They're horrible, Anthony. Trust me, you're not missing anything.
Anthony Giles.
And to think that, Marina Shafir is married to Roderick Strong, you would think that, she would be pretty good, but no.
I never seen him wrestle either. I remember you telling me about him. You was like, they're trash. The only one that's decent is like Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. No, Shayna Baszler is the best out of that whole.
Shayna Baszler, yeah. Shayna Baszler, yeah. Oh, wow. Anthony Cox, Up, Down, Down sounds like cheap porn. It does sound like cheap porn. But I'll tell you right now, out of that whole group, I think Shayna Baszler is the best.
Absolutely.
As far as on mic, or as far as character and in-ring ability. Because even with like Ronda Rousey, her wrestling was, was good, but it wasn't like, with Shayna Baszler, I'm more convinced with Shayna. Like Shayna is convincingly more tough looking, and she's better on the mic than Ronda's on mic ability. Ronda had some good spots, but when she makes that goofy looking angry face, it's just like, what are you doing? Are you mad or you have a cold or something? Are you trying to sneeze? It's weird. It's like, but all right. So last article, just the last article. Mark Henry says Ryback unsafe in the ring.
Okay. So Ryback brutally and feed me more attitude brought up a lot of intensity to the square circle. It's also caused a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. CM Punk has reportedly stated how working against Ryback took years off his career.
Wow.
Mark Henry had a lot to say about Ryback as well, especially after his disparaging remarks about the title belts in pro wrestling. During Busted Open Radio, that sounds more like a porn. During Busted Open Radio, Ryback for being unsafe in the ring. He says plenty of his peers agree as well. A lot of his peers look at him as difficult. A lot of his peers looked at him as dangerous. And yes, we talk about it on the show all the time, that WWE is a show, it's entertainment, it's sports entertainment. It's a reflection of sports. We don't use the term fake. The championships is the championships. It's not a prop. And he's wrong. I've been a world champion in 3 sports. I also consider pro wrestling as one of those. But it was the politics that got me to the top. It was the fact that it's the politics that got me to the top. It's the fact that I'm a damn good entertainer, because entertainment is the name of the job description. Ryback said recently that he's all healed up and ready for a return to television after his recent accusations against WWE. It's unlikely that they'll welcome him back with open arms. You can never say never in pro wrestling, but Ryback has also tried his luck in Japan.
Really? So after he left WWE, he went to Japan?
I think so, and he's been blasting WWE for the longest. Where him and Mark Henry act, and you guys can look it up. He's actually been, talking trash about, and him and Mark Henry's actually been going back and forth in those sparring. So with a little Twitter beef. So as Jay-Z called it, Twitter fingers. So. And as another article states that Ryback could potentially be heading to AEW, because he stated that he's going to go work for the competition. So we shall see. Yeah.
This is interesting. I agree. Anthony Kyle says, I agree with Mark Henry. Anthony Kyle says, CM Punk said the same thing. CM Punk did say the same thing. Anthony also says, Busted Open Radio. Busted Open Radio. Anthony Kyle says, listen, Ryback is bad for wrestling, and if the rumors are true that he is going to AEW to feud with Cody, good luck to that company. He went to Japan to actually do nothing. New Japan Pro Wrestling actually turned him down, if not mistaken. Wow. So, because I remember when he left, I know he was still trying to, but I didn't hear anything. So they turned him down. So I guess they turned him down because they see him as a big, clunky, I liked Ryback, but when I heard what CM Punk was saying about him, he was like, CM Punk, CM Punk made some comments about Ryback. Mark Henry is right. Mark Henry's a bigger guy, and Mark Henry can easily be considered, the bigger, more clumsier guy. The guy more likely to, cause more botches or injuries. But Mark Henry has never been seen as that guy, ever. He's never really been seen as that guy. Ethan Wick, big steroid guy. Like, I know what you're doing, Ethan. It's like you're saying it like, how Ryback is like the big guy. And Ethan Wick is saying it, the big steroid guy. Like, he's saying it like that. Like, Anthony Kyle, Ryback to Impact Wrestling. That's all that's going to happen. Yeah, so more than likely he's probably going to go to Impact because Impact tends to pick up He said what?
Pick up the pieces.
Pick up the pieces. You're crazy, Jay. Impact Wrestling. Pick up the pieces. I said, pick up the pieces.
So the Impact's new trademark. We eat that cornbread. Like
Right.
anybody that doesn't want, hey, we'll take you.
Right, we'll take. We'll take anything. Yo. Oh man, they definitely do pick. They definitely do pick up the pieces, man. Like yeah. Ethan Wick says not that guy. Ethan's like Impact ain't gonna take him. I bet if AEW, if Impact Wrestling took Kirk Hawkins, they would die over Ryback. If they took and don't get but just career aspect, like as how a person was utilized in the company. Kurt Hawkins was a jobber. Kurt Hawkins was the equivalent of the Brooklyn Brawler. This guy went on a losing streak. His losing streak was actually considered an actual streak like Goldberg. It was ridiculous. So if they would take Kurt Hawkins and make him a major player, they'll definitely do the same thing with Ryback. But it doesn't mean that Kurt Hawkins is a bad wrestler. Doesn't mean that Kurt Hawkins is bad on the mic, because Kurt Hawkins is actually pretty good on the mic. He was actually pretty entertaining, truth be told. But I think they'll give Ryback a shot. I think they would. Hopefully Ryback got better. I do like Ryback. Hopefully he's not botching. Anthony Cobbs, that should be his theme song. Pick up the pieces. Josue says Impact is putting out better content than WWE right now. So I seen an article not too long ago.
If you look the next time, he meant AEW.
I think Josue is really talking about Impact. I don't think he means AEW.
The next time, look at the next one. He said he means AEW.
Oh. I mean AEW. My bad. Okay, all right. So I thought we was actually getting somewhere with Impact, but pick up the pieces. They took Shamrock at 53. They need talent. Ethan Wick, well, we're talking about the most professional wrestler versus that Ryback. Yeah. So Impact Wrestling taking Ryback, they're gonna do it, and they're gonna more than likely put the title on him, because Ryback is he's not bad though. It's just that he just has some botching issues, but I think he's probably gotten better. And Anthony Cobb says, CM Punk gives me the image that he never got along with anyone backstage. So this is the thing about I'm sorry. Sean Key says, what did I miss? Dang, Sean, we talked about a lot. We talked about Adam Cole's return. Adam Cole's return. Adam Cole possibly going to the main roster. We talked about WrestleMania 37. We talked about we talked about a lot, Sean. But right now we're talking about Ryback going back and forth with Mark Henry, and Ryback possibly returning to wrestling, and which promotion is he going to go with? So this is what I want to talk about. So CM Punk. This is the thing about CM Punk, and as I go back and forth, and I kind of look at what's been going on with CM Punk, as far as a lot of wrestlers been talking about CM Punk. A lot of them, it's just a lot of them said that CM Punk pretty much was a loner. He stayed to himself. He didn't really get along with too many people. His closest friend, one of his closest friends, actually, I think was Kofi. Kofi was one of his closest friends. They used to ride together. But I think CM Punk was probably one of those guys who just wanted to be alone. But I tell you one thing about CM Punk. Right now, every time I hear CM Punk talk about WWE, it's like I don't want to hear it. It's like just save it. If you're not coming back, then don't say anything at all. Ethan Wick says Impact though. Yeah. Anthony Cobb says Sean, Medusa is coming back. Anthony Cobb says Medusa's coming back. Anthony Cobb says that's you, Sean. Medusa's coming back to wrestling. He says, Sean Key says, Sean says he's going to watch it back. Yep. We're about to wrap up soon. Shamrock actually got out there and looks like a monster with Sami Callihan. Ethan Wick says. Ethan Wick is a big Impact fan, so Ethan Wick definitely knows the product better than us. Well, for me, he definitely knows it better than me. But I've seen something very interesting that I want to talk about real quick. If you could fill me in, Ethan, real quick before we sign off. So what's going on with Moose in this world title? Because apparently he was in an I Quit match, and he actually quit, and he's supposed to have this title match against Rich Swann for the Impact Wrestling Championship, which Moose probably should have had like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. I don't know why Rich Swann had the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight title over Moose. It's weird. But I don't know why. But then Moose came in and had his own title. Like he presented the old Impact title. But I think he presented the old Impact title probably out of spite of them pushing Tessa Blanchard. So it was almost like no, let's go with this. Anthony Cobb says, Ethan, you're a loyal guy. I give up after the main event Mafia split. Yeah, I give it to Moose. Is one of my favorites. Yeah, Moose is definitely one of my favorites. Moose is definitely a big prospect who was actually seen as one of those guys to really be the next big thing in the indie circuit too. I was looking at Moose for a while, since 2014, 2013. Sean Key says, yeah, them having an Impact and TNA champion is weird. Yeah, it's like, but I think in the storyline, like Moose actually was like Moose supposedly just came out with the title. Like it's not an official TNA title. I think it's like if you go online and you look at the titles, like the official titles is the Impact, X Division, then there's the tag titles and the Knockout Women's title and the Knockout Women's tag titles. But I don't think the TNA title is an actual title. I think that's just like something Moose just did separately. And it's like the official, unofficial title because Moose came out with the title he came out with the title and announced himself as champion when AJ Styles had left. Well, not left, but he didn't resign with the company or something like that. Something weird, something like that. Anyway, moving forward. So we were going to discuss SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, but we are an hour and 40 minutes over. But we had a lot of news and rumors to discuss. We felt like they were more interesting. You guys have seen NXT, you guys seen Raw, you guys seen SmackDown, you guys see what was going on. Only thing I just kind of want to mention real quick is Randy Orton looking like a Lucha Libre wrestler. But it was a good gimmick. It was a great promo that he cut. Definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was dope. And he feuded, he kind of went back and forth with Triple H, but hopefully him and Triple H have another match. But Triple H somehow gets put into the picture of World Heavyweight Gold and possibly takes the belt off Drew. That's just my hope and expectation. Or somebody like Bobby Lashley gets the opportunity to fight Drew and take the title off of him. Either way will work for me. All right, guys. We thank you for joining us for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. I am your host, Saheem the Dream, also with my co-host, J. Mac Main. Please join us as we go live every Sunday, every Tuesday to talk wrestling, talk wrestling topics, to talk Raw, SmackDown, NXT. If you guys want to talk a little AEW or TNA or New Japan Pro Wrestling, you guys are more than welcome to mention or bring it up in conversation, and we can talk about it or discuss it. If you want to share some information or some insight or whatever it is concerning wrestling and any other promotion, Ring of Honor, whatever it may be, any great news, we are more more than likely be open to share that information. But we thank you guys for joining us. We thank you most of all for your opinions, and we most of all thank you for your thoughts and having this time to sit down with us and talk. So if you guys have not liked the page or like our group page, you can find us on Facebook. We have a group page and a regular page. You guys can like us, comment on there, post some articles if you guys like, start conversations. We will be posting some content in the pages in the group soon. We're just putting everything together. Yes. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Yes, subscribe to us on YouTube. We are on YouTube, and you guys can join us whenever we go live. So we thank you for joining us with Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. I am your host, Saheem the Dream, and my boy Jay Magnificent had to leave. But we will see you guys later. Peace.